I built this fully automated AI legal assistant app that any law firm would love to have using this Lovable N8N. All you have to do is fill out the simple form with your legal question and select your country. Then the app captures your name and email address and instantly starts searching official government websites for documents and resources that are relevant for your specific question. Once it finds them, it extracts all the relevant information, formats a proper response, and sends it back in our Lovable interface. Along with that response, the person is prompted to schedule a call to discuss their issue, and if they're not ready yet, the system automatically places them in a follow-up pipeline, where over the next few days, it sends them gentle email reminders about the offer, making them far more likely to end up converting to a paying customer for that law firm, which means that you can confidently sell to them for thousands of dollars, since it could be a win-win for both of you. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build it step by step. So let's get started. Now the first thing that we have to do is to build a front-end interface of our app by using Lovable, which is an AI app builder that allows us to build beautiful looking interfaces just by typing one simple prompt. So to build our app, I will come over here and type, I want to build a legal assistant app. The user should be able to input his question and select the country he's on. Then the app, before doing anything else, will ask him for his name and email, and after he has given that information, it will send all this information over to the backend. And you can see, guys, how specifically tell it to first ask for the name and email, simply because if somebody is using our website, we want to first capture the name and email so we can add them in our list and we can target them later on in future campaigns. And then then the app will simply receive a response from the backend. Don't try to build any of the backend functions of it, I will build them in an 8N. And you can see how specifically tell it that I'm going to build all the backend in an 8N, so it doesn't try to go and build the backend as well. You just focus on building a nice looking UI. It needs to be modern with nice sharp colors, just like this example. And now what I will do, guys, is I will go over to Google and search for nice looking UI, simply find one that I like. Let's say I really like this one, for example, and then all I have to do is to simply come over here and download it, and then come back over to Lovable, click on attach file, upload the interface I just found, and then I will come over here and click on enter. This way, Lovable also has a visual example of exactly how we want the app to look like, thus making it way more likely to give us a good end result. And if you want this prompt, along with the template for the whole automation we're going to build over in N8N, you can click the link in my description and check out my school community where all the assets for this video are going to be inside. But while Lovable is building the front-end interface of our app, let's go over to N8N and start building the backend. Alright, so I went over to N8N, and the first thing that we need to do is to add in a trigger. And the trigger we're going to add is going to be a webhook, guys. And the reason we're adding a webhook and not any other trigger is because a webhook will allow us to connect the front-end interface that we're building right now in Lovable with the backend automation we're going to build over in N8N. So that's why we're choosing the webhook. And now all we have to do is to come over here in the HTTP method and change the method from get over to post, since this is the type of request we're going to be sending over to Lovable in order for us to be able to send and receive data. So now all we have to do is to simply come over here and click on top of this link to copy it in a clipboard, and then we need to come back over to Lovable, where, as you can see, it also finished creating the front-end interface of our app, and I do gotta admit, it does look very good. But before we do anything else, we need to come over here in the Lovable chat and tell it, make sure you send all the data over to this webhook URL. And now what I will do is I will simply come over here and paste in the webhook URL just copied, and then I will simply come over here and click on enter. And now Lovable is going to go take this webhook URL and embed it inside our app. And boom, Lovable just finished making the changes, so now it's time to actually go and test it out. Now for our legal question, let's say that you were walking on the street and somebody threw a egg at you while you were working. Can you actually go and sue him? I know it's a pretty funny question, guys, but just to test this out, let's also come over here and say we actually live in the United States. But then before we come over here and we click on continue to submit, we need to come back over in our N8N interface and make sure our webhook is listening for a test event, which means that it is expecting to receive data. And then we can come back over to Lovable and click on continue to submit. It first prompts us to input our contact information, which I'm going to do right now. I will say my name is Damian Mal, and then over here I will input my email address, and then I will click on submit a request. And boom, as you can see, my request was successfully submitted. And if I come back over to N8N, we can see that we do in fact have data over here in the output section, which means that we successfully managed to connect the front-end interface we built in Lovable with the backend automation we built over in N8N. And if I actually scroll all the way down here, guys, we can see all the data that we inputted, we can see the question that we asked, the country that we're in, the name, and our email address, which is exactly what we wanted. So I will actually come over here and pin this data, so do not have to rerun this if something goes wrong. And now we need to move on with building the rest of our automation. Now the first thing that we need to do is to take in our name and email and upload it over to a Google Sheet or to any other CRM we might have, simply because we want to save this data so we can use it on email marketing campaigns, because emails are very valuable, guys. And every time you get an email, always make sure you save it somewhere. So to do that, I will simply come over here and I will select Google Sheets, and then I will simply come over here and select Update Drawing Sheet. Now the first thing you have to do is to come over here and select your Google Sheets credentials. I will select mine. Now if you do not have credentials, all you have to do is come over here and sign in with Google, and then you will be able to select your credentials. On Operation, make sure this is on Update Draw. And then over here, you need to select the specific Google Sheet you want to input your data. Now, as you can see, I created this super simple Google Sheet that has 4 different values: the name, the email, the question, and the country, which is all the information we inputted in a Lovable interface. And I have named it Question Leads. So now if I come back over to N8N, I can simply select that specific Google Sheet, which is Question Leads. And then over here in the sheet number, I will simply select Sheet 1. Now what we need to do is to match these columns. Now we can obviously select any value over here to match it to. I will select name, for example, and then all I have to do is to scroll down here to where we have all the data that we personally inputted. And then I will take in the schema of the name, drag and drop it over here in the name column, and I will do the exact same with the email. I simply take the email schema, drag and drop it over here, and I will do the exact same thing with the question, and the exact same thing with the country. Now, if I come over here and I execute the step, and then come over here and select Append Drawing Sheet. So I will come over here and select my Google Sheet, and then I will come over here and select Sheet 1, since that is the only Google Sheet number. Now we need to map all the values we want to send. And to do that, I will simply scroll down here in my webhook to where I have all the data that we inputted inside a Lovable interface, and then I will simply take in the name schema, drag and drop it in the name column. I will do the exact same with the email. I will take in the email schema, drag and drop it over here, and I will do the exact same thing with the question, and I will also do the exact same thing with the country over here. So now if I come over here and I execute the step, you can see that this did execute successfully. And if I go over in my Google Sheet, you can see that this basically inputted all of our data inside these 4 different columns, which is exactly what we wanted. Alright, so now the next thing that we have to do is to find the government websites that are likely to have relevant information inside them. So to do that, we're going to come over here and search for an LLM chain. And the reason I'm using an LLM chain, guys, and not a simple LLM, is because I want to use an output parser, and you will see exactly why in a bit. But for now, let's actually configure this node. Now the first thing that we need to do is to come over here and change this from connect to chat trigger node to define below, since we're not connected in a chat trigger node. And over here we need to input our user message, basically telling the AI to take our question and find us relevant government websites that are likely to have the answer to our question. I will actually open this up so you guys can take a better look at it. And I will type, take this question and only return me a list of official government websites that are likely to have the answer to this question, so I can go and scrape them. And then I say, here's the question. And now what I will do is I will take the schema of the question and I will drag and drop it over here, and I will also come over here and I will say this is the country as well, and I will take in the country and drag and drop it over here, so the AI also has context for that. So now all I have to do is to simply come close this off, and I need to come over here and add in an AI model, and I will choose the OpenAI chat model. Now you can obviously select any LLM that you want, and now the first thing that you have to do is to come over here and select your OpenAI credentials. Now if you do not have credentials, you have to simply come over here, click on create new credential, and then you need to input your API key over here. Now to find your API key, you need to come over to platform/OpenAI/API keys. I will leave a link for it in the description below, and then simply come over here, click on create new secret key, then you give it a name. I will name it Damien for this example, and then come over here, click on create secret key, and boom, this is your brand new API key. So all you have to do now is to come over here and copy it, and then come back over to N8N and simply paste it in over here, and then you can come over here and click on save. And boom, as you can see, our credentials were successfully created. So now you can come over here and select your credentials, and then for the model, you need to make sure you are actually using a search model. You can select any of the search models you want, but make sure it is a search model so it can actually give you relevant government websites and doesn't give you outdated links. So for this example, I will personally choose Photo Mini Search Preview. You can obviously select any one that you want, and then you can simply come over here and click off of it. Now the next thing that we need to do is to come over here and open this up, and we're going to have to come over here and turn on the required specific output format, which what this does, if you see over here, is it opens up this brand new option, which is an output parser. So if we click on this, and then we come over here and we click on structure output parser, we will see this source snippet of code. And this is the point where everyone starts losing their mind. They're like, oh Damien, this is super technical, I don't know how to write code, I cannot actually do this. Well, do not worry guys, you will not have to write any code yourself. All you have to do is to come over here, delete this source snippet of code, and then type in this. Or you can simply take a screenshot of this, give it over to ChatGPT, and it's going to give you the full text. And what this basically does is it tells the AI exactly how you want it to output its response. So we don't get a massive block of text that has a billion links inside it, and we get a nicely structured response. So that's why we're using an output parser. So now all you have to do is to simply come over here and run your basic LLM chain. And boom, as you can see, just finished executing. And if I actually open this up, we will see that it returns us 4 government websites over here that we can actually go scrape and extract information from. But before we do that, we have to come over here, click on the plus icon, and we have to search for a splitter node. Because what we're going to do with a splitter node is we're basically going to take all of these URLs and input them into one simple schema. And we're going to do that by taking the websites and drag and dropping it over here, and then we will make sure we leave this on no other fields included. So now if I come over here and execute the step, you'll see that this basically inputs all of the URLs into one simple schema, which is going to come in very handy in our next node, because our next node is actually going to be an AI agent. And the reason we're using an AI agent is because I wanted to give it access to a tool like Tavily, so you can go scrape these websites and intelligently extract all the information it actually needs. So to do that, I will come over here and I will change the source for prompt from connect to that trigger node to define below. I will open this up so you guys can take a better look at it. And then I will come over here and type. You got asked this question. Now what I will do is I will come over here in my webhook, find the question that we asked in our Lovable interface, simply drag and drop it over here. And then I say, and you have access to the crawling tool Tavily, which crawls government websites to find official answers to the question the user asked. This is the country. And now what I will do is I will also take in the country schema and drag and drop it over here so it also has access to that. And then I say, use the tool to crawl the website and find the relevant information about the question, and then format the proper response that you can give to the user. And then I also give it some extra instructions. I tell it, don't say things like here's your response, just immediately give the response, and also give the relevant links underneath so the user can see where you got this information from. Now if you want access to this prompt, along with the JSON for the full automation we're going to build, and also access to me so you can ask me any question you might want about building and selling automations, you can click the link in my description and come and check out my school community, to where you will find all the assets that you need inside the section over here in the classroom. So now that we're done pitching the school, I will actually come over here and close this off. And now the next thing that we need to do is to obviously come over here and add in an AI model. Again, I will come over here and I will select OpenAI. You can obviously select any model you want, and I will leave the settings exactly as they are right now. And the next thing I'm going to do is I will come over here in the tool section and I will actually search for a think tool, which what a think tool does is it basically tells your AI agent to take some more time and think twice about the response that it's going to give you, which indeed makes it give you a better response. I would always suggest you to use a think tool in any AI agent you build. And then it's time for the superstar of this video, which is going to be the tool named Tavily. What this tool does is it basically allows us to go and scrape all of these websites. Now the first thing that we have to do is to come over here and select our Tavily credentials. Now if you do not have credentials, you simply have to come over here, click on create new credentials, and then you simply need to input your API key. To find your API key, you have to go over to tavily.com. I will leave a link for it in the description below, and then simply come over here and sign up for a free account. So after you sign up for an account, you will be brought over in this interface where you need to navigate over here in the API key section, and then come over here and click on the plus icon to create a brand new API key. Now I will name this key Damien for this example. And then I will simply come over here, click on create, and boom, you just create a brand new API key. Now all you have to do is to come over here and copy it, and then you can come back over to N8N, simply come over here and paste it in. Then simply come over here, click on save, and boom, your credentials were successfully created. So now you will be able to come over here, select your Tavily credentials. Then our tool description will leave this on set automatically. On resource, we need to change this from search to crawl, because we actually want to go to these websites and extract as much information from them as possible. That's why we're choosing to crawl and not to do anything else. Then over here on the operation, you leave this on URL, and then over here in the URL, you simply take in the schema and drag and drop it over here, which includes all of the government websites that we want to crawl. So now all we have to do is to simply come over here and execute our AI agent. And you can see that it's scrolling the websites one by one, and it's going to give us a response in a little bit. And boom, it just finished executing. So now if I actually open this up, we can see that we do in fact have a response over here for the exact question that we asked. The best part is we got this information from the official government website and not simply asking an LLM model, which if we do with these methods, answer to our question can be wrong. But if we actually get the information from the official government website, we simply cannot be wrong. So now that we have the answer over here, what we need to do is to take the answer and return it back in our Lovable interface. But before I do that, because we have 4 items over here, I will actually come and add in an aggregate node, because I only want to return 1 item and not all 4. So I will simply come and select all item data into a single list, and then I will come over here and I will execute the step. And as you can see, this only gives us 1 item back. And now we can come over here and search for a respond to webhook node. I will simply leave this on first incoming item, since I only want to return 1 answer. And then what I have to do is to come back over here in my webhook and change the respond parameter from immediately to using a respond to webhook node, because if we do not actually make this change, we will not be able to send our answer back in our Lovable interface. So now I'll simply come over here and close this, and now I can finally come over here and execute the step. But before I do that, let me come over here and pin this data, so I do not have to rerun this. And now I'll simply come and execute this webhook, and boom, as you can see, it executed successfully. And if I open this up, we can see that it sent the answer back in our Lovable interface. But now if I come back over in my Lovable interface, I cannot see any answer, and that is because we haven't told Lovable that it needs to expect to receive a response from a webhook URL. In order for us to be able to see the answer, we need to go over here and tell it exactly that. So we'll come over here and type, make sure you expect to receive a response from the webhook URL, and create a section where you can display it. And now I'll simply come over here and send over this message over to Lovable, so now you can go and make all the necessary changes. And boom guys, we have the answer displayed over here in a very nice way. We also have the link which we can actually click and go over to the official government website. Plus we also have the option to ask another question over here if we actually want. But remember, this is only the first step, because right now what we want to do, since we provided the free value with this response, is to then go and try to upsell that person so he can book a consultation with an actual lawyer that we have in a law firm. Because if we don't do that, we're basically building a useless app, since we will not have an actual way to monetize it. But if we're actually able to upsell them, then this app will be valuable, and then we will be able to go and sell it over to law firms, since if they use it, they will manage to get more clients. So to do that, what we need to do is, after we send this message, send over another message, basically telling the person, hey, this is your problem. If you want to talk with an expert so you can take legal action, you can book a call with one of our lawyers to talk about exactly what you need to do. If he's interested in that, if he clicks on the option yes, then we will go book that time in our calendar, so we know we have a call with that specific person. And also we're going to go automatically create a Zoom meeting and send over the link to that person. So to do these functions, the first thing that we need to do is to send the follow-up message, basically telling the person, are you interested to hop on a call with an actual lawyer to take legal action? And to do that, we have to come back over to N8N, we have to click off of the respond to webhook, and we have to continue building our automation over here. Now the first thing that we need to do is to actually get information about the offers that our law firm has, because every law firm has obviously different offers and many different price points. So let's say that our law firm has all of these offers over here that we have inside this Google Doc. Now you can obviously have them in Google Sheets, you can have them anywhere that you want, but for the purpose of this example, let's say we have all of our offers inside this Google Doc that's called offers. All we would have to do is to come over here, click on the plus icon, and then we have to come over here and search for Google Docs, and then we have to come over here and select get a document, since that's what we actually want to do. We want to retrieve information from a document. And over here we need to fill in the Google Doc URL. We simply need to come back over in our Google Doc to where we have all of our offers, and then simply come over here, click on share, make sure we actually give access to this to anyone with a link, then click on copy the link, then click on done, and then we can come back over to N8N, paste in the link we just copied. And now if I actually come over here and I execute the step, you will see we successfully managed to retrieve all the information that was inside the Google Doc over here. So now what we need to do is, based on this information, create another message that basically tries to upsell our law services. And to do that, we have to come over here and we're going to search for OpenAI, and then I will come over here and select message model, because I'm basically going to tell ChatGPT, hey, take in all this information and craft a message to upsell that person. So to do that, I will simply come over here and I will select a model, I will select GPT-4 for this example. And then over here in the prompt, we basically need to turn this into an expression and tell ChatGPT exactly that. So to do that, I will type, based on the information of a law firm's offers for legal services, which are these. And now what I will do is I will take in the schema that we got from inside a Google Doc and drag and drop it over here. So as you can see, our AI agent has access to all of this information, and the fact that the user asked this question. And now what I will do is I will come over here in my webhook, taking the question that the user initially asked and drag and drop it over here, so the AI has access to that, and the answer that he got from the AI agent. And now what I will do is I would come over here and taking this output, but as you can see, this output is 5 items. So what I'm going to do right now is I will come over here in the aggregate node and not in the AI agent node, and simply taking the first response and drag and drop it over here. And I'm not using the AI agent node simply because it has 5 items, as you can see over here, while in the aggregate node we only have 1. And then I say, I want you to craft a follow-up message giving him information about our offer that we have for his specific use case, basically trying to sell our offer to him. And then I specify some things about the message. I say the message should be very short and to the point, and should have a maximum of 50 words, and then it should be asking him if he's interested. So now what I will do is I will simply come close this off, and I can come over here and execute the step, and boom, as you can see, it outputted a message over here which basically goes and sells him in our specific offer. Now you can obviously customize this exactly as you want. I'm just showing you the structure of how you can do it. And now what we need to do is to basically take this message and return it again back in our Lovable interface. So to do that, we're going to again come over here and search for a respond to webhook node, and then we will simply leave this on first incoming item. And if I actually come over here and execute the step, you will see that this does successfully send over this message over to Lovable. And now what we need to do is come back over to Lovable and tell it that it needs to expect to receive another message after the first initial one. So I will come over here and say, make sure you expect to receive another message after the first one, and you're able to display it as well. And then simply give the person 2 choices in 2 different boxes, saying interested, option 1 yes, option 2 no. And now what I will do is I will simply come over here and send over this message. So now Lovable can go and make all the necessary changes for us. And boom guys, Lovable just finished making the changes. And as you can see, we have the response that was generated in N8N over here. And then also we have this button over here which basically says yes or no. And now if we were to come over here and we click on yes, what should happen is a small tab should pop up that basically has a bunch of dates, so the person can select the date and time he wants to hop on a call with one of our lawyers, and then this is going to be sent back over in N8N, so we can actually go and create this event. And if we select no, then this lead is going to be put up in our email follow-up pipeline, where we're basically going to send him some emails over the next coming days, basically reminding him of our offer, which thus increases the chances of him coming back and actually booking a call with one of our lawyers. Now the rest of the video, where I build this full system, as you can see over here, along with a full JSON for this whole system and all the Lovable prompts, is going to be over in my school community in the exclusive build section, where basically every week I will upload a full build inside the section over here exclusively in the community. So if you're interested in seeing the continuation of the system, along with getting access to all the other courses that I have inside my school community about selling AI automations, make sure you click the link in the description and you come and check it out. And I will see you over there. But now YouTube thinks you're also going to enjoy this video, where I built a $1 million app using this Lovable N8N. So make sure you go and watch that next. And I will see you over there.